The moment a Libra stops trying, you feel it in the air before you can explain it. It's not a loud exit, it's not a slammed door, it's a room that suddenly loses its warmth, like a candle that kept burning for everyone finally runs out of wax, and only afterward do people realize how much of the peace they were living inside was being held together by Libra hands. Libras don't just show up, they tune a space. They notice the sharp edge in a conversation and soften it without making you feel small. They hear what you meant, not only what you said. They translate tension into understanding, and they do it so gracefully that nobody calls it labor. They call it vibes, they call it how things always are, until the balance disappears. If you've ever lost a Libra, lost their presence, their loyalty, their quiet devotion to harmony, then you already know, once you lose them, it's different. If you want more messages like this that feel like a mirror and a gentle guide, subscribe to Libra Whisper and stay close to this space of healing and truth, not because you need more noise, but because you deserve language for what your heart has been carrying. People think Libras are easy to talk to, easy to be around, easy to love, but that ease is a masterpiece, not an accident. Libra is an air sign, yes, but not the kind of air that blows everything apart. Libra is the breeze that makes breathing feel possible when life gets heavy. It's the window opened at the exact right time. It's the music lowered when someone's voice starts to crack. And that's why Libras are hard to replace, because most people do not realize how rare it is to be around someone who naturally considers the emotional temperature of others. Someone who asks, without words, "Is everyone okay?" Even while they are quietly fighting their own storms. A Libra will carry beauty like a healing balm, not surface-level beauty, real beauty. The kind that says, "Let's not let this moment turn cruel." Libra will choose the softer word, the kinder interpretation, the route that preserves dignity. And sometimes they do it at their own expense, because they were taught, by life, by family, by early heartbreak, that peace is earned by becoming the peace. So when you lose a Libra, you don't just lose a person. You lose the translator. You lose the emotional diplomat. You lose the one who made hard things feel survivable because they knew how to frame reality in a way your nervous system could handle. And there's something else that makes it different. When a Libra leaves, they don't leave chaos behind. They leave clarity, because Libra doesn't usually walk away at the first sign of trouble. Libra stays. Libra weighs options. Libra tries to fix the unfixable with kindness. Libra offers conversations, second chances, softer landings. A Libra will hold the relationship in their hands like a delicate glass, turning it in the light, wondering if a tiny crack can be mended before it spreads. So if a Libra finally releases you, it's because they reached the moment where harmony would require self-betrayal. And Libra, despite their softness, has a spine made of truth. They will endure a lot, but they will not endure being repeatedly misunderstood. They will not endure love that feels like a courtroom where they're constantly defending their worth. They will not endure the slow erosion of respect disguised as jokes, stress, or "that's just how I am." A Libra can forgive a mistake. What they can't forgive is a pattern that teaches them they are safe only when they shrink. So they leave. Quietly, sometimes politely, sometimes with tears they refuse to weaponize. They leave with the kind of goodbye that doesn't sound like goodbye at all. They'll still be kind, they might even smile. And that is what confuses people, because they expect pain to look like anger. But Libra pain often looks like distance. It looks like a heart closing its gates without drama, like a door that locks without a sound, like someone who finally chooses themselves so gently that nobody can accuse them of cruelty, even though the separation feels like a storm for the person left behind. Once you lose a Libra, it's different, because you realize how many of your rough edges were being softened by their love. You realize how many emotional messes you were allowed to avoid because Libra cleaned up the aftermath in private. How many apologies you never had to make because Libra made your intentions sound better than your actions. How many bridges stayed standing because Libra held the ropes while everyone else pulled in opposite directions. And when they're gone, those bridges collapse, not out of punishment, but out of physics. You can't keep harmony alive with only one person doing the harmonizing. A Libra is hard to replace because they don't just listen. They listen for the part of you that's hiding. The fear underneath your confidence. The grief underneath your jokes. The longing underneath your silence. They are the kind of people who can sit with your contradictions and not shame you for having them. Most people love the version of you that's easiest to understand. Libra loves the version of you that you don't even know how to explain. The version of you that is still becoming. And Libras do this without making a show of it. They don't hand you a receipt for every time they chose patience. They just give. They offer presence. They offer grace. They offer the feeling of being handled with care. Which is why, when they're gone, you feel handled by the world in a harsher way. Without Libra, conversations feel sharper. Silence feels colder. Your own words sound heavier because the person who used to translate you into your best self isn't there anymore. And then comes the most painful truth. Sometimes you only realize you were loved well after you've lost it. Libras are often underestimated because they don't fight for control. They fight for balance. They don't need to be the loudest voice. They need fairness, not as a slogan, but as a way of surviving love without losing themselves. Underneath the charm and social grace, there is a deep moral core in Libra. They are constantly asking, is this mutual? Is this kind? Is this right? Even when they don't speak it out loud, their spirit is measuring the scales, and if the scales are always tipped against them, their soul begins to dim. A Libra can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely if the love around them is not reciprocal. Because what they crave is not attention, it's attunement, it's being met. It's different after a Libra because their absence exposes the truth of the dynamic. It shows you what effort looked like when it wasn't being requested, but offered. Some people try to replace a Libra by finding another charming person, another nice person. But Libra is not nice. Libra is intentional. Libra is artistry. Libra is devotion to a certain kind of love. Love that doesn't humiliate. Love that doesn't demand you bleed to prove you feel. When you lose a Libra, you lose someone who believed your humanity was worth protecting. And maybe that's what hurts the most. They saw the best in you, even while you were showing them your worst. They believed you could evolve, but they also believed they didn't have to be your lesson. A Libra can be a sanctuary, but they are not a sacrifice. Some people forget that. They treat Libra's forgiveness like a contract. They treat Libra's patience like an unlimited resource. They treat Libra's silence as agreement. They treat Libra's peacekeeping as permission to keep behaving the same way. But Libra is always watching, not with judgment, with awareness. And one day, they stop explaining what should be obvious. They stop negotiating for basic respect. They stop translating your carelessness into something they can survive. They choose themselves. And here's the part that feels spiritual. When a Libra chooses themselves, the energy shifts, doors open, new people arrive, not because Libra is lucky, but because Libra finally stops leaking life force into an imbalance. They stop watering a garden that never blooms back. The moment a Libra stops pouring into what's empty, they become magnetic, and the person who lost them feels it like an echo. You begin to see Libra everywhere, in the quiet you can't fill, in the songs that suddenly hit harder, in the way you miss being understood without having to perform. You start to crave the softness you took for granted, because Libra doesn't just love you. Libra respects you, and respect is the rarest form of love. If you've been listening and something in you is nodding, If you've ever lost someone who brought calm to your chaos, take a second and like this video as a small promise to yourself that you won't ignore peace when you find it again. And if you feel safe, leave a 2-word check-in in the comments. Something honest like learning boundaries, missing balance, choosing myself, or healing quietly. Let it be simple and real. Because the truth is, Libras carry a very specific kind of emotional signature. They make people feel seen without feeling exposed. They make love feel like a room with clean air. They make conflict feel like something you can walk through without losing your soul. They have a way of finding the middle, not the middle that compromises truth, but the middle that honors both sides without erasing either. They can see where you're coming from and still name where you're going wrong. They can validate your feelings without enabling your patterns. That skill is not common. It's wisdom, and it's often earned through pain. Many Libras learned early that love can turn sharp, that people can become unfair, that sweetness can be punished. So they learned to read energy. They learned to sense the point where a conversation could break someone's heart, and they learned how to guide it toward gentleness. But the cost is heavy. Because when you are always managing the emotional balance, you can forget what it feels like to be held yourself. Libras are hard to replace because they are often the ones holding others without being held. They are the friend who checks in after everyone else stops. The partner who remembers what you said months ago and brings it up at the perfect moment, not to trap you, but to honor you. The person who thinks about how their tone will land in your nervous system. The one who would rather be misunderstood than be cruel. When you lose that kind of love, the world feels more transactional. And it's not that Libra was perfect. Libras have shadows too. They can overthink, they can stay too long. They can hope that if they keep being kind, the situation will become kind back. They can avoid confrontation until the avoidance becomes its own kind of fracture. But even those shadows come from the same place, the desire to keep the bridge standing. So when a Libra finally chooses to let the bridge fall, it means they finally admitted the truth. They were the only one building it. People often think Libras are indecisive, but Libra is not indecisive about what matters. Libra is careful. Libra understands that words shape reality, and they don't want to promise what they can't sustain. They don't want to destroy something just to feel powerful for a moment. So they weigh, they consider, they try to make a choice that doesn't create unnecessary harm. But if you push a Libra too far, you discover something. Their final decision is one of the most solid decisions you will ever witness. Because by the time they leave, they have already grieved you. They have already cried the tears in private. They have already tried every angle in their mind. They have already asked themselves, is there any way this can be fair? They have already exhausted their hope until hope becomes a quiet, empty room. So when they walk away, they don't wobble. They disappear from the version of your life where they were doing all the emotional heavy lifting. And you can't charm them back with last-minute softness because they've learned the difference between a change of mood and a change of character. That's why it's different after a Libra, because you can't replace what they were doing for you, especially if you didn't know it was happening. You can find someone else who laughs at your jokes, someone else who likes the same music, but can you find someone who will hold your pride gently when you're wrong? Someone who will offer correction without humiliation? Someone who will love you in a way that keeps you accountable and safe at the same time? That's Libra. Libra's love is an atmosphere. It's the feeling that you can breathe, the feeling that you can be imperfect and still be worthy, the feeling that your emotions won't be punished, the feeling that your humanity won't be used against you. And when you lose that, it's not just missing a person, it's missing a way of living, because the difference is you. You become a person who can't unsee what you had. You start noticing how many connections are built on convenience instead of care. You start noticing how rare it is to feel both challenged and cherished at the same time. A Libra gives you that. They challenge you with their standards, even if they never call it that. They carry a quiet expectation that love should be respectful, that friendship should be considerate, that words should mean something, that people should try. And if you didn't try, if you relied on their grace to cover your gaps, losing them becomes your mirror, not to punish you, to awaken you, because Libra energy is about awakening to the sacredness of relationship, about realizing that harmony is not luck. It's a practice. It's a daily choice to handle each other with care. If you're a Libra listening to this, you might recognize the ache of being easy for everyone else while feeling unseen in your own needs. You might recognize the exhaustion of always being the one who makes things smoother. You might recognize the grief of staying too long because you wanted to believe in the best-case version of someone. And if you've been the one who lost a Libra, let this be gentle truth. The pain you feel now is not only about their absence, it's about what their absence is showing you. So don't waste that revelation. Don't turn it into shame. Turn it into growth. Ask yourself, where did I ignore softness? Where did I take balance for granted? Where did I let the scales tip because I assumed they would always correct themselves? A Libra will try and try and try until they realize their spirit is being eroded by constant adjustment. And then they will choose a quieter life, a truer life, a life where their kindness is not treated like a weakness. And once they do, the version of them you lost is not coming back. You might meet them again someday, but you will meet a Libra who has learned to guard their peace like a sacred temple. A Libra who knows that harmony is holy. A Libra who understands that love without respect is just attachment dressed up in pretty words. And that Libra is even harder to replace because they won't bargain with their soul. So if you're still holding grief over a Libra you lost, let yourself feel it without turning it into bitterness. Let it teach you what it taught them, that love must be mutual or it becomes a slow kind of heartbreak. And if you're a Libra who has walked away, let yourself be proud of the quiet courage it takes to stop negotiating with imbalance. It takes strength to leave without revenge. It takes maturity to choose peace without making the other person your enemy. It takes spiritual clarity to say, I can love you and still not stay. That is Libra's power, not the charm, not the beauty, not the social grace. The power is the ability to keep a soft heart while choosing a strong boundary, because once a Libra learns that, they become unforgettable. They become the kind of loss that changes people. So if this message is landing in your spirit, take one honest step after you finish listening. Reach out with an apology you've been avoiding. Set a boundary you've been afraid to name. Choose one relationship where you will stop keeping the balance by yourself. And if you're still in the process of learning what balanced love looks like, stay with us. Subscribe to Libra Whisper so you don't have to navigate these emotional seasons alone. And like this video if you're choosing to honor peace as something sacred. In the comments, share one sentence, a truth you learned the hard way about love being mutual. Let your words be a small lantern for someone else who is walking through the same night.